hops really come out and shine. This is from a little brewery called Lagunitas. You guys know Lagunitas?
Yeah.
Yeah. Actually founded by a Chicagoan, which is why we are now fortunate to have a brewery in Chicago. Everything we drink from Lagunitas comes from Chicago, which I love. This gentleman named Tony McGee grew up in Chicago. As many people in the Midwest, at some point you will venture out, and then you always come back. So Tony ventured out to California, found a brewery in this town called Lagunitas. So that's where the name Lagunitas comes from. They did not necessarily stay there, but that's where they were originally founded. This is one of those breweries that really started to bring back some IPAs to the States and really start to feature hops and have something that's a little more hop forward. IPAs, though, again, originated in, anyone? England. Yeah. England. So we're talking about, again, people in their country getting on a boat, putting stuff on that boat, putting some troops on that boat, and just cruising around the world to see where they could just drop those things off. England was very, very good at that. They too were in India. India was one of their largest colonies at the time. They had a lot of British soldiers stationed in India as they were kind of developing that colony. And if you're far away from home, what do you want? You want comforts of home. Comforts of home were beer. The story of the IPA is basically they would put beer on a boat. We can say it was a pale ale, but it probably was something maybe closer. Could have been a pale, could have been a porter. But no matter what it was, it just didn't make that journey. That boat, there was no canal, there's no easy way through, it wasn't a plane. That boat started up in the British Isles, and it would have to go all the way around the Horn of Africa, and then all the way up to India. That journey is very, very long. Beer is just in this wooden barrel that's been used over and over and over, and it's sloshing and sloshing and sloshing and sloshing, which means who the hell knows where that barrel's been, what's in that barrel. We talked about a little bit about spontaneous fermentation before people figured out yeast. Spontaneous fermentation was whatever was in the air. A lot of early beer before we figured out yeast, before we figured out things like sanitation, which it seems like a no-brainer, but that was a newer concept. A lot of it really did have this kind of sour taste because that was just basically bacteria that's living in the barrels. They seal it, beer sloshes, keeps interacting with it, and by the time it gets over there, it's kind of skunky, kind of sour, not tasting that great. So there was a very brilliant brewer who figured out a couple things. One of those was, one, producing a beer that had a little more alcohol. Alcohol actually helps shelf stability a little bit. The higher the alcohol, the more it can kind of fend off, the more some bacteria kind of live inside of those barrels, inside that basic environment. Then also, hops are a natural preservative. If you add a little more hops, preserves that just a little bit better. So I'm sure the beer was horrible by the time it made it to India, but holy hell, it was a little bit better. It was a little bit closer. Now the question could also be, well, why didn't they just brew beer in India? That makes more sense, right?
Just they ended up doing.
Eventually, back in the day, so we're talking like back in the 1700s, India was deemed too hot to brew. It's just too damn hot, and they can't brew beer. So put it on a boat, ship it. And so that's where IPAs come from. And again, now we're talking about this style similar to a pale ale. This is an American IPA. So this is an American twist on that classic style featuring American hops. Again, American hops, especially for this version of an IPA, are going to be a little more citrus. Maybe get a little bit of, well, hell, what do you guys taste? What do you smell? It's interactive.
What, right now?
Yeah, right now. If you need